So what we're going to do today is, again, we're going to hit the high points of the metric system again to make sure everybody's on the same page. So they call this the ladder method. I don't ever call it that. It's just metric conversions is really what it's called. It's going from one metric to the next. Okay. So when we fill in our ladder method, this is kind of what it looks like. Now, here's what I want you to do. Above this slide, please write this. This is the way I write. Okay? You've seen this before. And you were taught this two different ways in elementary school. One way was okay, and one way was complete and totally wrong. So the way that was complete and totally wrong was the teachers that taught you King Henry died drinking chocolate milk. Why is that wrong? They left the base unit out. So if you do it without the base unit, that means that you're skipping an entire step and you're going to come up 1/10 place value short. Okay? So then some teachers taught you King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. That's okay. It's not great because, again, when you just say by, that sentence to you has become just like please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Do you even really think about what you're doing when you say it? No, it's just turned into a sentence. Just like King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. It's turned into a sentence for you. It doesn't have any meaning. So now the adjustment for it is the way that I've said it, and again, I know you've heard it, is at a bar. So when you hear that, that says something important is there. Okay? And you kind of look at me and say, why was he at a bar drinking chocolate milk, and why did he die? We'll talk about why he died later. Okay. So again, this is the way that I would do it. So when you get your test on Tuesday, I would write this at the top of your scratch paper, write it on the your bubble sheet, which you'll know what a bubble sheet is later. And that way, if you have to do anything with metrics, you don't have to think about it. You just look at it and you move the decimal whichever way. So how do we do it? And I know this is going to sound silly to some of you, but I want to say it one more time just to make sure everyone's on the same page. So here's what we have to do. If we need to go from one unit to the next, our first objective is to determine your starting point. What unit are you working with? Okay, are we starting at kilo? Are we starting at deca? Are we starting at centi? Where are we starting? The second thing we need to determine is where are we going? Okay, what am I trying to get it to? And then once we decide where we're starting and where we're going, which direction and how many places are we going to be moving? Now, just kind of a side note on this. Does the metric system extend beyond kilo and milli? Okay, does anyone know what's below milli? I remember. Not nano. There's one before. Micro. Okay. Micro is after milli. And then does anybody remember what's above kilo? Not giga. Mega. Mega's next. So it's kilo, mega, giga, tera. And on the other end, it's milli, micro, nano, pico. Now here's the deal. For me and my purposes in this room, I will never extend you beyond what you see in this ladder. I'll never ask you a question above kilo, and I'll never ask you a question below milli. There's a reason why, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. I don't want to get into the depths of it, but I'm going to show it to you so you can actually visibly see it. All right, so our first example says we have 4 kilometers, and I want to know how many meters that is. Okay, so Chloe, we have 4 kilometers. So what unit am I starting with? Or what prefix? Kilo. Okay? Avery, where am I going? Okay? Which unit am I going to? Okay? So, here's an interesting point, and I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said it. When you look at that M that we're going to, a lot of people want to say, well, we're going to millimeter. Well, the problem with that is, when you see km, what does K stand for? Kilo, what does M stand for? Meter, so kilometer. Well, if we're going to millimeter, how would we abbreviate millimeter? 2M, so mm. So here's the deal. We have no prefix where we're going. So what stop on our ladder are we trying to get to? We're trying to get to the base, which is why it says meters right there. Okay, does that make sense? So I don't want you to get confused because here's the deal. What if it said kg and we're going to G? What does a G mean? Grams. Does that make sense? So if there's not a letter in front of your root, and when I say root, I mean meter, liter, or gram, we're stopping at the base. We're going to the bar. Okay? I'm kidding. We're not going to the bar. So how many places, which direction, Alex? Which way? 1, 2, 3. Does that make sense? Okay. So my first question is the number 4. I was going to call you Silcox. Callie, is there a decimal with that number 4 that you can currently see? Is there a decimal anywhere in there? Where would we add the decimal to put it there? Don't say behind. Which side of the 4? The right side of the 4. Does everybody agree with that? First of all, before we go any farther, does everyone know their right from their left? Are you sure? I mean, like legit. That's a serious problem with the world. Like, for life, if you don't know your left from your right. Left. Looks like an L. If you need to get it tattooed on your wrist, go do that. Okay? All right. So, we need to put it to the right of the 4. Now, Alex, you told me I need to go how many places, which direction? Huh? What? Three to the right. So, when you look at this, they do the loop-de-loops at the bottom. Well, here's the problem. In math class, Mason, what number is understood in math classes? Sometimes you don't have to write it. In math class. Yeah. 1. Right? Well, here's the deal. I've got all these loop-de-loops and all these blanks. Do I put 1s in those blanks? No, that's an issue because 4 kilometers does not turn into 4,111 meters. That doesn't make sense. So what numbers would you plug into those loops? Zeros. Fantastic. So 4 kilometers turns into 4 meters. Any questions? Okay. All right, let's actually work some problems together. Okay. All right, Ralston. Let's work number 1. Guys, I know that the space is kind of tight, so here's what I would recommend doing. Complete side note. I would number this all the way to number 6, and then there's some space below this slide on your notes. I would write all them vertically up and down. Does that kind of make sense? So you're not having to cram it into that tiny little space. All right, Ralston, so my first question is for number 1. What unit are you starting with? Millie. Okay. Ralston, where am I going? Very good. How did you know I was going to the base? Perfect. There's no prefix. Okay. All right, Cole. How many places? Which way? Do you have this sheet? Okay. 3 which way? To the left. Okay. All right, Hayes. So we've got the number 1,000. Currently written. Do you see a decimal? Where would I put it, Hayes? Currently, before I ever move anything. Okay, right there. All right. Dorian, what do I do? How many places? 3. So 1, 2, 3. So your new number is what, everyone? 1. Now, I know what some of you are going to ask. Don't you write that .000? Sure. Is it the exact same thing? Sure. Okay. Now, here's the reason why I just wrote 1, and this is the curveball. This is where you got to actually catch up to this. Here's my question. I just circled a number in red. How many significant figures are in that number? 1. So you must maintain. Do we still have 1 significant figure? Does that make sense? Fantastic. It doesn't? If you put .000, how many significant figures would that be? That would be 4, and that would be a problem. So we've got to maintain. Yes, ma'am. In the original value. Yes. So anytime I give you a question, your answer must contain the same number of significant figures as in the problem. Yes, that's exactly how you check yourself. Okay? Any questions? Right here. All right. How many significant figures is in the number 1,000 as it's written? Just 1. Just as it's written. Now again, over here we have to move. We have to adjust the decimal. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions on that? Questions? Okay. All right, Natasha. I'm gonna clear the board. We're gonna start over again. So I've got 14 km, and I'm trying to go to m. So Natasha, where am I starting? Where am I starting? Where am I going? Base unit. Okay, so how many places, which direction? 3 to the right. So here's my next question. This is important. Okay, how many significant figures does the number 14 have? 2. So when I do this, I have to have how many significant figures in my answer? 2. Okay. All right, Taylor. So I've got the number 14. As it is currently written, where's my decimal point that you can't see? Very good. And I need to move it how many places, which way? Very good. So 1, 2, 3. Now, here's my hypothesis. I'm going to plug a bunch of 1s in. No, what do? Zeros, okay? So this is going to turn into this. What is your final answer with 2 significant figures? 14,000. Very good. Does that make sense? Any questions? Ask now, forever hold your peace. Yes, sir. That's exactly right. So because the decimal point is absent, we start on the Atlantic, go to our first non-zero, count it, and everything to the left. Okay. You guys try the other 4, just the other 4. All right, so the next one, 1 liter going to milliliters. So how many places, which way? Where do we start? Hello? Base, 3 to the what way? Right? So 1 turns into what? 1,000. Do you put any decimals or anything? No, okay. So grams to kilograms, starting where and going which way? Starting at the base, going left, 3. So here's the deal. 109. Currently, where's the decimal point? To the right of the 9, and we go 1, 2, 3, and add the decimal. Now, this is important. I'll make sure you hear this. Can you write it like this? What do you need to do? Put that liter 0 in there, okay? Now, this is a good one. Starting with centimeters, going to millimeters. So we're going which direction? 1 to the right. So 160 turns into what? 1,600. Okay. Then the last one should have been 0.250. Do you have to have that last 0? No. You don't. You get rid of that last 0. And I really wish, remind me to start there tomorrow.